I'd honestly say I think as a country, and as people go, I mean, things have just gotten crazy, and it's everyone's so triggered right now and offended by everything, and everything's been destroyed, and it's. I feel like we are at the bottom, and from here we only have one way we can really start going, and I'm really hoping that soon everything's going to start going back up. And with that, I think for me especially, as you said too earlier, music is my escape from this reality. And when I play a show, nothing else matters. My job doesn't matter, and all the problems of life don't matter. I'm just on stage and doing that. And that's a feeling that most people will never understand but us musicians. And that's a feeling that I never want to lose. And I've lost that before, and I found my way back. And I wish I would have never have given up hope the first time that I did lose that feeling after, leaving one of the bands that I did. And I think for anyone that's trying to make it, as a musician, I feel like right now we're hopefully going to start hitting that up and up again, and just hold on tight, ride it, and do what you need to do. Not every show is going to be $1 million show, and not every show is going to be or seem like it's worth it. But all you need is that one person to see something and believe in you, and that's all you need.
I would say I would have liked to ask that sort of question to Keith Moon, for instance, especially with like a song like "Won't Get Fooled Again," considering how crazy that one is.
Yeah, that's a goodie.
Oh man, I mainly goofed around with it too, but I also played it on Rock Band the one time, thinking like, I don't know if this guy would be able to know how to do it note for note, to be honest, because it's just that crazy. Still enjoyable song. So
I had a neighbor that he was a huge gamer, and he had a full a full electronic drum set up to play Rock Band. And I remember one night he called me up. He's like, "Dude, we can't beat this song." They called me over just to play drums on the song because they couldn't beat it in Rock Band. It was a great time.
was it "Won't Get Fooled Again"?
No, it wasn't that one. It was a heavy song. It was what was that? It was a Trivium song of some sort. I think it was a Trivium song. It was a lot. It was, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was trying to remember too, because I don't think I remember them being on Rock Band 2, but I was thinking it was going to be Rock Band 2 because they actually had a death metal song. I think the band was called Abnormality, I think it was, and the song was called Visions.
Yeah.
That one was pretty crazy. So, needless to say, but I guess, were you able to beat it, or did you?
It took me several tries. It was not on the first try.
Fair enough, yeah. Especially too when you got to get used to actually hitting notes when it's strictly pads now. It's not just like, oh, we could just improvise here and there if anything comes up.
To play it exactly how they wrote it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's cool. So let's see. I guess let's jump into the gear, because I think you did mention a couple in this interview so far about like what you use in terms of your drum covers. I guess walk us through how you do a drum cover then, and what gear do you use?
Yeah. So I have 3 Nikon D3200 cameras. I was just looking to see. So I'm using a Nikon 3200 cameras, and I will. You're gonna laugh at this part. So I went cheap. I use GarageBand and iMovie for editing because they're free. I'm a Mac guy, and they're a free software. So I have GarageBand and iMovie to edit, but I am using a Behringer XR18 interface, and then for my microphones, I'm just using some cheaper microphones. I'm using digital reference microphones, and then I run recording, and then I go in and I edit all my sound and I save it as a WAV file. I bring it into iMovie, and then I match the video up with the original audio, and then I delete the original audio and I just go off of my saved audio from GarageBand. But it's probably a harder process than I need it to be, but it's the process that I know. I do have really nice KRK monitors and even the matching subwoofer. I learned very quickly that trying to do it off of just like computer monitor speakers or the computer, that doesn't work. So I think the most expensive part was my interface, and then the monitor speakers for sure.
Yeah, that's normally how it goes too. Because did you say what your interface was, or was
it's a Behringer XR18?
It was the Behringer. Sorry, actually, I got rolled the Focusrite, so that's why I wanted to check just to make sure. But I got the 18i20 to be honest, so I could see what you mean.
And I really wanted to go. Everyone pushed me towards the Focusrite, and it's a wonderful thing. But I wanted the full 18 channels, and the comparison between them was the one is that the Behringer is the full 18 channels, but doing it all myself from my phone, I could be set and make all the adjustments that I want, because it's all wireless and Bluetooth. So it was really nice that I got all the 18 channels because my kits are kind of bigger, and then I could have all the control that I needed from anywhere in the room. And I thought that was a wonderful thing, so I went with the Behringer over the Focusrite.
I see, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if Focusrite's a little bit pricier, to be honest, but I can't really tell you, to be honest. But I would say, I was trying to make sure I phrase the questions right, too, because I know I use it sometimes, too, in terms of, like, plugging everything into the inputs, plugging it into my module and everything, too, and bringing it all together. But I bring it all together in Final Cut Pro. What do you use for editing your videos and everything? Is it Final Cut, or is it still, like, iMovie and something else?
I have Final Cut. I just bought Final Cut Pro at the beginning of this year, and I'm still learning how to use it. So most of them are still done in iMovie because that's what I've been using, and I'm used to it. But hopefully soon I'll be switching over to Final Cut Pro because it's easier to do more than one camera. And in iMovie, it is a pain in the butt to do more than one camera because it's a free program that's got very limited capabilities, but I make it work.
Yeah, I know. I think iMovie was always about keeping it to like one, and then if you want more, you have to pay this sort of service. I know that's kind of how it is with a good amount of like any other service as well. So
yeah, so I always start with like my center camera, and then you can drop in a second video, and then I splice the scenes that I like, and then I drop them all into one line, and then I bring down the second camera, and then I splice it again, and then I go into the next camera. So it's kind of a headache, and it's a lot of extra work, but I just got to find time to really nail down learning the new the new software that I just haven't had time to do yet.
I would say sometimes I think you start getting like 3 or 4, at least for me at least, because I don't know how old this computer is, but sometimes with Final Cut Pro, when you have like multiple camera angles, it tends to slow up a little bit, or the rendering takes a little bit just to kind of get the hang of it. So it gets a little bit frustrating. So I'm just kind of give you a warning in advance. So brace yourself.
Well, I will agree with you because I actually had to go out. I bought a brand new computer at the beginning of the year because my other one couldn't process it fast enough. And then I'd be in the middle of recording a song and it would give me an error because it couldn't write the disk fast enough. And I'm like, dude, there's nothing else going on in the computer. How is this possible? And I started getting really frustrated with it. But the channel's been growing, and I was like, well, I guess I got to bite the bullet. And I bought a brand new computer with the highest memory and the highest RAM. And that's when I bought the 2 new programs too, so that I could get better software. Hopefully make some better videos coming up here shortly.
Actually, a friend of mine always recommended trying to buy gear so you could build your own computer too, because I guess that would be then the fastest sort of speed you can then get to. But I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna have time really to build it, and then there's the money factor. Yeah, so
yeah, custom computers, and it adds up quick.
So Hopefully, at some point in the future, it would be nice because either that, or I'm just going to probably get a new one maybe for Christmas, put on my Christmas list, and then see what happens. So,
List. There you go.
all right. So I guess let's see where we're at right now. I guess let's jump into the bands since you did mention you've been a part of your dad's band for a little bit. I guess let's start at the beginning and then let's do a beginning, middle, and end.
So I still today, my dad has 3 bands and I help out with 2 of the 3. Whenever he calls me and says he needs a drummer, and he's got one that's just like extreme variety called Keith and the Classics. And it's just like from country to light rock, soft rock. It's a lot softer. And then he's got his original, which back in the day was his rock band. Now it's all classic rock, State Line Playboys. And then he's got another one that's all polkas, which is with my uncle, who ironically plays drums and yodels. So he's got that. So I grew up, with that, which was rock at the time, and now it's classic rock. And then I had, a couple of fun bands in college or in high school. And then my first big serious one was out of college. We were Ottoman Empire, and then we got signed. They changed the name to Luna Mortis, and that was really cool. That was a lot of fun. Spent a couple of years in that band. It was great. And then after that broke up and I parted ways, I kind of fell into a hole. It kind of hit me when I left that band because I didn't see it coming, and then I kind of just fell into the bar band scene and did that for several different bands. But now I'm in an all original band out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, called Benjamin Trick, and we do like alternative rock, but my background is more hard rock metal, and so I'm kind of moving us more into more of a heavier, but not super heavy, because I like where they're at and they like what I've added, which is really nice that they let me bring my own thing to their original project. And it's I really like where we're at. It's a great mesh right now.
That's pretty good. And I guess were you able to reform some of your groups after COVID, or I know you said the one never really seemed to get back into it. So
we actually reformed really close. We were Dynamite Society was the name, Dynamite Society was the name, and then we came back with like 2 of the 4 members, 3 of the 4, and then we switched our name because it didn't feel right to keep the name, as none of us were really the founding members of the original. And then we came back as Damage Control. And then that went pretty decently well, but it just kind of hit a brick because all of us came from such a different background. We couldn't really just satisfy everyone's musical needs, and it just kind of ended from there.
I see. I was going to say Damage Control. I was thinking it was Damage playing that Dimebag and Vinny formed after Pantera.
That was that's kind of where I got the name. I kind of stole the name from because I liked that, and then we changed it to Damage Control instead, of course.
It's got a nice flow to it too. So I would say rest in peace, Dimebag and Vinny. Guys, take it soon.
That's a sad situation there. Both of them tragic endings.
I guess did you get into Pantera a good bit during your?
I actually went to the second to last show before Dimebag was killed. I was at the show right before his final. So that yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Boy.
Pantera was awesome. I do like Pantera. Vulgar display of vulgar. They had a lot of great stuff. I liked his style of drumming too. I actually used it a lot as an influence when I was in Ottoman, one of the bands I was talking about, because I like how he'd change up some of his things. And I was a fan of Pantera for sure.
I guess what do you make of the group they have now with Zack and Charlie Benante?
I wish they would just not call themselves Pantera. Maybe just like Pantera Tribute, or it's I don't know. It's kind of weird.
I don't know,
It's good, but it's not the same.
I was thinking the same thing too, but I know Phil Anselmo, he also did with it was Phil Anselmo and the Illegals. They were doing covers of, Pantera songs. So it's almost like, why didn't you just roll with that or just change the name maybe to something else? So,
yeah, exactly. I just wish they would have not just renamed themselves the same Pantera.
I don't know. We'll let them figure it out. So there's nothing we can do about it. So,
right?
sadly, can't do much. But I guess jumping into the next question right here. I guess what made you want to be a drum teacher?
It just kind of fell into my lap. Drums have always been my thing. I also teach piano. Ironically, I have like 16 years of piano. But when I was in high school, I was always, they always did like you audition for your drum parts, and I was a lead. And so when I was a senior, my band teacher was like, "Will you help with the freshmen and the sophomores?" And so I started doing it there, and I really kind of enjoyed it. And then when I was in college, one day I was at one of the music stores, and I was talking with the owner. And I told him I was going to school at UW Whitewater, and I was going for music originally. And he's like, "Well, are you teaching?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not teaching or anything, not full time or And I had done some of the little things. He's like, "Do you want to be? We're going to start a lesson program. Do you want to join?" And I've been with that store now for like 20 years. And so I think I've got like 18 years in with that music store. I'm still at the same music store, and I just really enjoyed, watching the progress. It's really cool. Actually, I played a show with this band, and sure enough, it was one of my students from like 15 years ago, and it was just like blowing to see that he was just this wee lad, and now he's going to be a dad here soon, and he's out with a band, and it was really cool to see him and talk to him again, and to see that he's still playing and that you helped get him to that point. I like that. That was cool.
Your story kind of rang a little bit because I know the person I interviewed on here. Do you know Fred Rock Fisher by any chance?
Not that I can think of. Maybe, probably don't know. Don't think so.
He currently resides in Idaho, but he's jumped in some bands. One band was called a Midline, which he seems to be a part of right now, and he's also been kind of jumping around. But shout out to Fred right there. His story was actually a little bit funny too, and unfortunately it escapes me at the moment. And I'll have to go back and review. Don't yell at me, Fred. So I'll just say, just go back and review it. But it seems like it all happened by accident, or like it just fell into your lap, for instance, and then like all of a sudden you just find yourself now being a drum teacher and everything too. So it seems to be a nice rewarding experience, and it seems you also saw the reward of it as well, especially when one of your students went and formed a band. And
yeah, and it was literally just like maybe last week or 2 weeks ago that the show that just happened. So it's kind of crazy to see him play. So it is nice. It's it's funny though, as a teacher. I laugh because I remember all the times that I had private lessons and showing up, not practicing, being like, "Okay, I can pull this off. I got this," and you get done with the lesson and you're like, he never knew. And now that I'm a teacher, I can tell exactly like what student practiced, what student didn't, like who's actually trying and who's not. And I just think to myself, oh man, how many times do you think my teacher called me out when I was younger? And you thought you got
Actually, that was a South Park reference too, because I think of that when Carmen said that Kyle was responsible for the 9/11 attacks, and he had this real bad pain of Kyle holding a knife, and he said, "You almost got away with it, you sneaky butthole," that sort of thing. So I know it's pretty over the top, but even so, it's still pretty funny. So that's why it made me think about it. So, all right, that's good to see. So I would say, what's funny is like it seems like food, mainly like the restaurant industry, and music are two big things you really need outside of maybe banking and that sort of accounting. But yeah, food and music seem to be like the hardest ones to like make a decent living, unless you're like the Rolling Stones in like music, or maybe this Gordon Ramsay of Top Chef. So it's like, what gives? That sort of thing.
the thing that blows my mind too is that, you know, music is a part of everyone's life. I don't know a single person that's like, hey, I hate music. I'm not listening to music. Nope. I'll never listen to music. I hate it. No one, right? But yet, as a musician, it's so hard to, in today's day, no one's going out to shows much anymore, it feels like. You know, especially like smaller, more local stuff. People just aren't doing it anymore. But yet, you know, the support has just fallen flat on its face, and people don't like going out much anymore unless you're already a big time. But you can't get to that big time if you don't have, you know, all the support and the help from, you know, friends and family from the bottom to get up to that. And it's weird to me. I haven't been doing it very long, you know, obviously, but even in the 20 years that I've taken music real serious, I've seen just such a huge decline in the amount of, you know, support that people show. And you can get, you know, those, you know, strong 10, 15 people that are always there, right? But then it's just crazy. You can make all the posts in the world on Facebook and people love your Facebook posts, but then no one comes out to watch you live. And it's different, you know? What you gonna do?
I was trying to think of maybe some sort of terminology for it, because the recent generations, I guess you could say, it starts with the millennials, then going to Gen Y, Gen Z, or whatever. It then seemed like when the phones really started taking off, you got the social media and everything too. Now everybody seems so attached to it too. It's almost like, I can't live without my phone.
Well, you know, in a totally different aspect, I used to be vice president of this car club, and we had a strong car club. And we would travel even all the way from Wisconsin down to like Georgia. We went to Kentucky. We would go to car shows. We've won, you know, like best club, and we took home. I've got numerous amounts of trophies that, you know, I don't even know what to do with anymore, right? But then as social media took over, less and less people started coming out to car shows and car meets, and they just wanted to be Insta famous. And I feel like that's part of the problem of today, is everyone wants to be Insta fame. You know, I just want to be a TikTok famous drummer or Instagram famous drummer, and it's crazy. It's everything has changed because of social media. And it's brought us more together, but it's taken us more apart at the same time. Because, well, why would I go see it? I can just see it right here on my phone. Oh, there it is. You know, I got one guy that works next to me in the office, and he's like, I don't like concerts. I'll never go to a concert. And it's like, for me, that's weird because I love concerts. I want to go see the band that I enjoy. He's like, well, it never sounds the same. Well, who cares? It's live. It's fun. There they are. They're right there. So it's weird. Social media is a blessing and a curse all at the same time.
I have to say, to the earlier reference there, I'd be like, first off, because they're playing at venues that are more giants, so the sound obviously will sound different coming through. But I mean, some of the concerts I've been to, they sounded pretty damn awesome, if not maybe close to the original material.
Oh, yeah. We've got, oh boy, the Rave in Milwaukee is huge venue. Have you ever heard of the Rave?
I'm going to say, is that where they play like a lot of the rave music, that sort of thing? No,
it's the literally building is just called the Rave, but it's got like 6 or 7 different stages for bands, featuring from like a 50 person crowd all the way up to like, you know, 20,000 people in the one venue. But all of the music there is just overblasted and way too loud, and it's not mixed the best. But then in Madison, which I live closer to, you know, we've got a couple of new venues, and it's just phenomenal. It is. It really is the venue that makes the difference too. And then some of these bands obviously travel with their own sound people, and they know how to dial it right in, and it sounds so much better. The venue makes a huge difference too.
I have to say, no, I did not hear about that. In fact, I have not been to Chicago or Milwaukee. I have not been very far west, to be honest. I would say I've been to Arizona, Utah, and those states, but I've never been to like Wisconsin or Illinois, so I couldn't really tell you about those sort of venues. But
Not missing much. Cheese curds and cheese curds and cows.
I mean, pretty much it varies between the venues too, and you also need like the people who know how to do the job. So I can see your point too. So oh well, I
Yep.
mean, to go back to our earlier discussion, I would say there's not really an easy solution to it because it's an expression as well. Be like, hey, I'm just gonna express myself on Instagram or express myself on TikTok. So I don't really know what the solution is.
Everybody wants to see those likes.
So hopefully we can find something at some point or a great reawakening, so to speak, at some point. So
Sure.
fingers crossed.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So we have talked for actually close to an hour right now, but I guess let's get to some fun questions right now. Ready?
Sure.
All right. So first one, what is your favorite alcoholic drink?
Ooh, I'm a captain man. I am a captain in a Coke. Or if I'm out golfing, it's vodka lemonade and it's Tito's, and that's for sure. But I'm a captain man.
You do the captain stance every now and again whenever.
I dance all the time.
I'd say yeah, that's actually my second go-to drink. If let's just say sometimes if my parents are doing like let's say gin and tonic or vodka and tonic water, I do either Coke and Captain Coke or Long Island iced tea. It's one of those two.
Yeah, yeah, that's a strong one there.
I would say, do you love the real sweet drinks too?
I did when I was younger because I didn't know any better. But the gut rot gets you.
All right, fair enough. And favorite non-alcoholic drink?
Oh, I am anyone that knows me. I'm an addict to Monster. I drink way more Monster than I should. Mango Monster is my go-to.
Oh, geez. You know, considering you're in sales too, because I actually did do a brief stint in sales, and every time before we'd start going out to venture do our sales pitches or whatever in some part of Pittsburgh, we'd always stop at the gas stations, and I'm seeing most people either smoking or drinking Monster. So I'm thinking like, these people must be pretty jacked up on sugar right here, and here I am just trying to grab a little bite to eat. So
I'm an addict. I won't lie. I'm an addict.
I'm going to say that might explain why you stay up late, to be honest. Outside of that's the only practice time, so.
Yeah.
So
Keeps me going.
fair enough, yeah. I guess don't go over the top because I think I tried Rockstar too, and I don't think I was too crazy about that. So, oh well, to each his own. So, good choices. And let's see. The next two kind of deal with in terms of drum covers. So, was there ever a song that was too tough for you to play? Did you either give up or did you come back afterwards to finish?
I really I have been working on a Dream Theater cover. I'll reference that earlier thing. For me, I am being overly hard on myself, and I want it to be as close to note for note as perfect. And every time I start working on it, it frustrates me, and I'm like, oh, I'll come back to it. And I want it to be like super right there. And so, yes, I am working on a Dream Theater piece. I will not say which one, but I am working on a Dream Theater drum cover, and I keep coming back to it because I want it to be so right on that it drives myself nuts. And yeah. So there are pieces.
Obviously, it's a Mike Portnoy era sort of song.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, best luck to you. I would say I have done a couple, and actually I did a couple with a friend of mine from Greece who was real big into Dream Theater as well. More specifically, the Mike Portnoy era, but he's actually now doing a couple from the Mangini era as well. So I would say Pull Me Under and it was The Root of All Evil. Yeah, I've done those two. So I could say a proud achievement, at least for that much.
That's the classic radio throw, the Pull Me Under.
Yeah. You know, it was funny with Dream Theater too, and I don't know if I mentioned it, but I know I did mention about Rock Band earlier as well. There was actually a Dream Theater song. It was the Panic Attack.
Yep, it was. Yeah.
Oh god, that one was.
I remember.
That one was crazy, especially on Expert. I think I just stopped after Hard, to be honest, because it was like, it's not worth it, man. I mean, I don't. First off, it's just one pedal. I don't have the double pedal, so that's you practically walk into a disaster near the end of the song, or I think even the beginning of the song too. So I mean, regardless, it was one of the more impossible songs with the 5 red marks along the bottom that was difficult for drums, to say the least. So. But that's how I got to Dream Theater, and that and I've been
Nice.
so. All right, and out of all the drum covers you have done, is there one that you love the most?
You know, which one would probably be my? It's really funny because I try to push myself on each one, and the more excited I get about a drum cover, I feel like the least amount of attention it really gets, which is really weird. It's not my favorite. My top is Headstrong by Trapped, which is weird. It gets the most views. Boy, but what would my favorite one be? I did. Boy, that is a good question. Probably either the Chicago one or why am I not? Boy, I can't think of the. I don't know if I can give you an answer on which one's my absolute favorite. That is tough.
We could probably
I'll think about it.
We could just stick with the trap one because I know that one's one of the more popular songs. So can't tell you how many times I heard it, to be honest, because it's at this point where they're like, okay, I know the song. So
we were supposed to open for them next month, but they just canceled their tour, which really sucks. We were on bill to open for them, and I was all excited, and then they canceled.
Oh man, that sucks.
We still got to play that night with the other bands. So
who else are you playing with?
So, huh?
I'm sorry. Who else were you playing with?
I don't know who else is on that bill. I'm just told that the same bands that were on that same original show are still going to be there, just not Trapped.
That really stinks. You know, I have not listened to them in a while, but I remember getting like 2 of their albums. One did have the Headstrong on it. I forget what the other one was, but I don't know if it had too many of like their more popular songs. But I remember listening to it and liking it back then. That was, of course, back in high school and everything. So,
right.
Got a lot of music I gotta get back into. So, hopefully, we can find some time. So, all right. And last of the fun questions: what is currently your favorite song, or a song you've been listening to a good bit recently?
Ooh, my current favorite song. Boy, I'll be honest. I couldn't really tell you because here's a fun fact for me. When I listen to a song, I like analyze the snot out of it, and I listen to it differently than I would say most people would listen to a song. And I analyze it so much that once I'm done with analyzing it, I'm like, boom, next, and then I overanalyze the next song, and then so I'm always changing up what I'm listening to, trying to find. But man, how about this? One of my absolute favorite songs that everybody knows is one of my go-to favorite songs is "Bleed" by Meshuggah.
Oh wow! Yeah, one.
I even tried to. I tried to have my wife let me walk down the aisle to "Bleed" by Meshuggah, and she would not let me do it. She said no very quickly, but I love that song. That's a goodie for me.
I always gotta laugh with it too because it's mostly all on the feet, right? Because like
it's all. Yep.
I mean, it's a simple 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, sorry.
All day.
Yeah. I was listening to the other day. I'm thinking like I'm cranking this baby up. So.
And then my favorite is like midway through the song, everyone gets excited, like, "Oh, good, it's finally over" for the people that can't stand metal. But it's not. It comes right back in and it keeps going because it's just so long too. I love it.
It was almost an 8-minute song, yeah. So
when we go out to the bars, I'll do the jukebox app, and I'll play it from my phone so no one sees me walk up there. And then you hear it in the bar, and you just watch people go, "What is this?"
It's like, what? It's metal. That sort of thing. Then it feels like you then have to kind of like blend in too to be like, I don't know who the hell turned this song on, that sort of thing. So
yep.
that's like you wonder, like, is it a good luck charm then if your baseball team or football team starts winning? So it's like, oh, we'll just keep playing it because we keep winning. So
yep, that would be my walkout song right there.
Either that or it'd be the walk-in song if you were like UFC or those boxing rings. And
yeah.
Because actually, I was seeing the movie series Apollo
Okay, yeah, yep, yep.
or Creed. Sorry, it was Creed.
Three, yeah.
And they were doing some of those introductory songs when they come walking into the ring and everything too. So it's like this is a big deal. Or I would do something that would be like a metal song, carry in your face too.
Right.
You know, I was honestly thinking of my own, and I don't know if it'd be Dying Fetus's "Wrong One to Fuck With," that sort of thing. So, you know, that was also an album cover too. But excuse me, I don't know. I just thought it would be like I'm not messing around here, mate. So I don't know, but yours is a good choice too. All right, so
No, thanks.
good choice. Sorry, I made it go off topic there.
You're good.
All right. All right, so Zach, we are almost at the end of my podcast right here. Did you have any questions for me or any other final words you want to say before we jump into the final question?
No, I just appreciate it. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be a part of it.
No worries, and thanks so much again for coming on. But for the last question right here, and I always like to ask this too, because consider what COVID has done, and obviously you've been blessed too, because you've been pretty lucky to get through it all, and everyone in your family's been okay. Some people maybe not so much. So I think these days people need some sort of hope to at least keep having some sort of meaning in their lives or to keep pushing forward. So what sort of message of hope could you give to musicians and people out there?
You know, I'd honestly say, I think as a country, you know, and as people go, I mean, things have just gotten crazy, and you know, it's everyone's so triggered right now and offended by everything, and everything's been destroyed, and you know, it's. I feel like we are at the bottom, and from here we only have one way we can really start going, and I'm really hoping that soon everything's going to start going back up. And with that, I think, you know, for me especially, as you said too earlier, you know, music is my escape from this reality. And you know, when I play a show, nothing else matters. My job doesn't matter, and all the problems of life don't matter. I'm just on stage and doing that. And that's a feeling that most people will never understand but us musicians. And that's a feeling that I never want to lose. And I've lost that before, and I found my way back. And I wish I would have never have given up hope the first time that I did lose that feeling after, you know, leaving one of the bands that I did. And I think for anyone that's trying to make it, you know, as a musician, I feel like right now we're hopefully going to start hitting that up and up again, and just hold on tight, ride it, and do what you need to do. Not every show is going to be $1 million show, and not every show is going to be or seem like it's worth it. But all you need is that one person to see something and believe in you, and that's all you need. And you never know where that one person is going to be. So when you're playing, when you're practicing, when you're out performing, always do it to your best, because you never know who's going to be out there in that crowd, or who's going to be on the other side of this screen right now watching you saying, that's the guy we need, or that's the girl we need, or those are the people we need. That's the band we need. So keep playing it, but always put in 100%, no matter the crowd, the show, no matter how low it feels or how awesome the high is. Just remember, we are all starting from here, and somebody found someone to make them that person they are today, that you are influenced, or, you know, that you admire. And if you want to be there too, you just gotta, you know, keep doing your duties, and you'll be there.
Spoken like a true prodigy. So yeah. I always like to say that too, even though it's a nice Pulp Fiction line too. But
it's a great movie, super great movie.
Yes, but obviously everyone who's at least given me an answer, it's always been some sort of helpful in some way. Sometimes the answers are short, sometimes they are pretty long-winded at times. But I can see everyone's at least on the same lines too, along the lines of saying like, don't give up, keep going forward, that sort of thing. And we're all pursuing that same sort of dream of one day reaching it big. So it's good words. So thank you so much, Zach.
Of course. Thank you.
All right. So, Zach, we reached the end of my podcast right here. Do you have any shout outs or any final words you want to say before we close?
No, I just always like to do one of these and say thank you. Thank you for watching. And I greatly appreciate you reaching out to me and letting me join your podcast. So that's awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks
I would say the final thing was you struck me as that person because you said you wanted to play Bleed going down the aisle whenever you and your wife got married. I was going to say, you struck me as that person who would like to have Guar play at your reception afterwards, because that was how Bam Margera was.
It is awesome. Oh, my God. Guar is great. Oh, I need to do a Guar cover now. Thanks. There it is. I'm going to do a Guar cover now. In your name.
I would say, funny enough, did you know Bam Margera and the little show he did at Bam's Unholy Union?
Yep.
He was actually trying to get Guar, I guess, to play at the reception or something like that, but he ended up getting Iggy Pop. So that's what he made me think of too when he talked about Bleed for like walking down the aisle instead of the typical Kid and D afterwards. So
I think my most fun is I got to play a show with Green Jello or Green Jelly. They changed their name, Green Jello, and they did the claymation, Three Little Pigs, and that's kind of fun.
I see. All right. So best of luck to you going forward, mate, and you take care, Zach. So
you too. Take care.
Right. But before we do, everyone, my guest today was Zack Zweifel. I guess how else can people reach you? Do you have a website or what other social media do you use?
I'm on. I just started a TikTok. I'm on Instagram. My drum channel is Spaz Drums. On Facebook, of course, just Zack Zweifel. I don't have a website, and just my YouTube, Zack Zweifel. Of course, if you search for Zack Zweifel, you'll find me there. Double Z.
I was gonna say you heard it from this guy right here. So, Zach, Stay safe. Stay tuned, y'all.
You as well.